You don't need to raise your voice to prove your strength. True power isn't in noise, it's in presence. In a chaotic world where people rush to react, lash out, or give up, the one who stays calm, rational, and disciplined becomes the most formidable. Not because they strike first, but because they cannot easily be shaken. That's exactly what we'll explore in this video, through the lens of Stoicism. Stoicism isn't just abstract theory for old philosophers locked away in study halls. It was lived by generals on the battlefield, by emperors like Marcus Aurelius in moments of crisis, and by ordinary people enduring grief, pain, and injustice. It teaches one timeless truth. You can't control the world, but you can always control yourself. And when you do that, you become unshakable. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build a mind that's not just strong, but quietly intimidating. Because people will sense you're not someone who crumbles easily. Number 1, the mind shift that changes everything. Do you want a mind so strong it makes others pause? Then don't begin by powering up. Begin by letting go. Specifically, letting go of the illusion that life is supposed to be easy. The root of suffering is the belief that things should always go smoothly. People aren't hurt by events. They're hurt by the thought that those events shouldn't happen. That's the first trap, the first wall that must fall. We grow up believing that if we just try hard enough, things will turn out well. But Stoicism says the opposite. Life owes you nothing. It isn't cruel, but it isn't kind either. It simply is. The shift begins when you stop wishing the world were better and start choosing to be stronger for whatever comes. That's when real change begins. Not out there, but within. Look at the strongest people you've known. They aren't the ones who always win. They're the ones who don't break when they lose. They don't react blindly. They pause, then choose their response. That's the real difference. A resilient mind isn't built on sticky notes of affirmations. It's built in silence, under pressure, in the moments you want to quit, but still take another step. Viktor Frankl, in the depths of hell itself, discovered this. When everything else is stripped away, one freedom remains, the freedom to choose your response. Sounds simple, but it's one of the greatest insights of the 20th century because it puts control back in your hands. Frankl didn't escape suffering. He transformed it, and he survived not just in body, but in meaning. But to do this, you must change how you view adversity. Most people see hardship as punishment. A Stoic sees it as a test, custom-built for their growth. Imagine your mind as a blade. Without fire, friction, and hammering, it remains dull metal. To become sharp, it must be tested. No exceptions. And notice something. Those who overreact at the smallest issues are often the ones who face the least hardship. But those who've endured deep pain often move with calm. They've been forged. The good news is, you don't have to wait for tragedy to learn this. You can train daily by observing your reactions. Ask yourself, does this really matter? Can I see it differently? If I follow this emotion, what will it cost me? These aren't idle questions. They're mental weapons. Now stop seeing failure as wrong. See it as necessary. You can't learn patience without delays. You can't learn conviction without opposition. You can't build inner strength without moments of standing alone. A strong mind isn't born, it's built. Truly resilient people don't need to say, "I'm fine." They simply are fine. They don't compete for dominance, because they've already won the hardest battle, the one within. And that quiet steadiness, that's what unsettles others. Here's a practice you can try right now. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this here to teach me?" That one shift keeps you grounded, focused on the only thing you control, how you see the challenge. And when you change that, you change the experience. Not because the world changed, but because you did. A strong mind doesn't need armor. It doesn't crave validation. It doesn't try to intimidate. But its steadiness makes others cautious, because you can't defeat someone who no longer needs to win. That's untouchable strength. But mindset alone isn't enough. To grow, you must also shed the habits that quietly weaken you. Number 2, habits you must break to grow. There are little habits we repeat daily without asking why, and they quietly keep us stuck. It's not lack of potential that traps us, but the cycles we've allowed. A strong mind isn't forged on lofty thoughts. It's shaped by removing the clutter that weakens us. You can't live like a warrior if every morning you slip back into complaining, procrastination, and comfort-seeking. Complaining, for example, is like a sweet but toxic drug. Every time you complain about work, the weather, traffic, you tell your mind, "I'm powerless." And worse, you start to believe it. Sure, it relieves pressure for a moment, but it leaves you exactly where you were. Think about it. Do calm, solution-focused people complain endlessly? Number. Mentally strong people either act or let go. Nothing in between. Next time you feel the urge to complain, ask, "What can I do right now to change this?" If nothing, then exhale, release it, and move on. The second trap is comfort. We're surrounded by easy choices, the soft couch, the familiar routine, the safe path. But the comfort zone is where growth quietly dies. Stoicism doesn't tell us to avoid pleasure. It teaches us to face discomfort willingly. Skip the workout, avoid the hard talk, delay the decision, and you've told yourself, "Today, I chose not to grow." Growth comes from stepping into discomfort on purpose. Each day, pick one thing that stretches you. Wake earlier, say a clear no, try what you've always avoided. That's how you expand your frontier. Then, there are excuses. They sound convincing. "I'm busy. I don't have time. I'm not that type of person." But excuses are just masks for fear. Fear of failure, of judgment, of change. The danger, we start believing them as truth. Strong minds don't live by excuses. They face reality. They take responsibility. And finally, the craving for approval. We all want recognition, but when it becomes a need, it weakens us. That's human. But when your mind is chained to the opinions of others, you lose yourself. You bend to fit in, hesitate at crucial decisions because of what will they think, and slowly your core fades away. A Stoic knows the only approval that matters is the one that comes from their own conscience. Epictetus wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." When you no longer need applause or understanding, you take your first real step toward freedom. Here's the surprising part. When you let go of those old habits, you don't feel empty. You feel lighter. Like cutting sandbags from a balloon, you begin to rise. You don't need more, you need less. Less complaining, less comfort-seeking, less excuse-making, less craving for validation. Then you meet a version of yourself you've never seen before. Calm, clear, unshakable. Now pause for a breath. Close your eyes and ask yourself, am I feeding my mind or sabotaging it each day? What's the one habit I keep repeating that I know is holding me back? You don't need to overhaul your whole life overnight. Just start today with one thing. One pattern you know is limiting you. Stop it. No promises, no overthinking. Just do it. Each small act is a hammer strike against the walls holding you back. And one day, you won't have to pretend to be strong. You simply will be. And then you'll be ready for the next stage. Not just eliminating what weakens you, but building what makes you solid. That's when we turn to daily practice. Actions that forge inner strength brick by brick, creating a foundation that won't crack, no matter how chaotic life becomes. Number 3, daily practices for inner strength. After tearing down the old excuses, habits, and beliefs, you're left on bare ground. Nothing to cling to, but also nothing to weigh you down. This isn't a void, it's an opportunity. Now you begin to rebuild, not a fragile shelter to survive the day, but a fortress of the mind. Every brick you lay isn't just knowledge, it's repeated action, steady, deliberate, real. Stoicism isn't for study alone, it's a discipline to live, and it only lives through daily practice. Many believe mental toughness is some rare gift or inherited trait. The Stoics knew better. The mind is a construction site. You build it beam by beam, with discipline, with willpower, with even the smallest choices. A cold shower in the morning doesn't make you a hero, but it's the first test of the day. Will you embrace discomfort and take control, or let old weakness drag you back? Then there's movement. A fragile body can't carry a strong mind. The ancients knew this well. The body is the instrument of will. When you run, lift, or push yourself physically, you're not just training muscles. You're building endurance, grit, and above all, self-respect. You promised yourself, and you delivered. Rain or shine, audience or not, ask yourself honestly, how long has it been since you last broke a promise to yourself? But effort isn't just about intensity, it's also about depth. A true Stoic carves out silence each day. Call it meditation, stillness, or simply listening to yourself. Whatever the name, without it, you'll never master your emotions. Because no one can steer a storm they've never taken the time to observe. And then comes the practice most people avoid, choosing challenge. Not to boast, but to sharpen. Get up with the alarm. Don't hit snooze. Send the email you've been dreading. Say no when you mean no. Try the skill that makes you feel clumsy. These things are small, but each one adds another brick of strength. Dodge them, and you carve a hole inside yourself. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You don't need to explain this line. You need to live it. Freedom isn't out there. It's in your ability to act when it's hard, to do what must be done even when you don't feel like it. So be honest. When was the last time you chose the harder path? When did you last say no to comfort so you could say yes to growth? The strongest minds don't shout. They don't overreact. They don't crave recognition. They move quietly, and people feel it, sometimes even fear it. If you want that kind of strength, don't wait. Start today. Cold shower, move your body, sit in silence. Do the thing you've been avoiding, not for applause, not for reward, just to know you are becoming solid as stone. And when discouragement whispers, pause, breathe. Realize discomfort isn't here to break you. It's here to ask, are you ready for the stronger version of yourself? Because once you notice the shift, your calm in chaos, your control over anger, your grip on fear, you'll know you're not the same person anymore. That's when you're ready for the next lesson, the one every Stoic wrestles with for life. how to rethink failure, not to avoid it, but to befriend it and use it as fuel to become unshakable. Number 4, rethink failure like a Stoic. Failure is something most are trained to dodge, hide, or brush off as quickly as possible, as if it's a trap only the careless fall into. But to a Stoic, failure isn't a trap, it's a map. Few want to read it, but anyone who goes far eventually does. Failure points to where you're weak, where you've misunderstood yourself, where you thought you had enough but didn't. Most see it as an end. A Stoic sees it as reality's stern nod, an invitation to adjust and press forward. Lose a job, rejected, invisible in a crowded room, that's failure. But if all you do is blame, lash out, or hide in comfort, you've wasted a rare chance to forge strength. A strong mind doesn't pretend failure never happened. It sits with failure and asks, "What are you here to teach me?" The most respected people, the ones who don't need to boast, are those who've asked that question again and again and waited for the answer. Catherine Schultz, in her book Being Wrong, pointed out a hard truth. The best people are often those who've been wrong the most. The difference? They don't get stuck. They study their mistakes like scientists. No shame, no excuses. Learn, adjust, move. Think of your own mistakes, the ones still haunting you. What do they stop you from trying again? The ego that can't admit fault is the quietest prison there is. A Stoic doesn't deny flaws. They treat them as stepping stones to inner strength. Because if you can't handle being wrong, you'll never handle getting better. Sarah Blakely, the youngest self-made female billionaire, was asked by her father every day, "What did you fail at today?" It sounds harsh, but it gave her the greatest gift, resilience. Failure, to her, wasn't proof she was wrong. It was proof she was reaching. When her Spanx idea was rejected over and over, she didn't see shame. She saw progress. Maybe you think you're nothing like her, but you are. The only difference is she trained her mind not to flinch when the world said no. The Stoics train the mind the way a blacksmith tempers steel. They know no blade is sharpened in warm water. Failure is the forge, the anvil, the hammer's rhythm. Each time you fall, you face a choice. Shrink back into your old shape, or take the heat and remake yourself. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show men what they are. Not success, not praise, not moments of recognition, but failure, hardship, and loss strip you down to your core. And only when you dare to look at what's truly there does rebuilding mean anything at all." The problem is, no one teaches us how to fail well. We're trained to win, to be smart, to be better than others. But no one shows you how to watch someone you love walk away without losing your self-worth. How to stare at a report card full of Fs without believing you're worthless. How to fail and still stay awake through it. A Stoic isn't someone who feels no pain. They're someone who feels deeply but doesn't drown in it. If you want to build a mind so strong it makes others hesitate before underestimating you, start with your weakest point. The failure you're still too afraid to face. Write it down. Look at it. Don't judge it. Learn from it. And the next time failure knocks, don't hide. Open the door. Pour it a quiet cup of tea and ask, "What are you here to teach me this time?" If you're still here, if you've made it through more than half this journey, you're not just listening to words, you're learning how to stand inside the fire. This isn't about comfort, it's about awakening something inside you that's still dormant. And failure holds the key. Hit like if this helped you see failure differently. And don't leave just yet. because what comes next won't repeat the same ideas. These are the next blows in the forge that will shape a mind of steel. No one else can do this for you. But if you do it, trust me, the world won't be able to ignore you. Number 5, master your emotions under fire. Think back to the last time someone hurt you. Maybe it was a throwaway remark, a cutting comment, or just a dismissive glance in a meeting. In that moment, did your blood rush to your head, heart race, throat tighten in anger? Did you want to snap back immediately? That reaction is instinctive, but not always necessary. Emotions are like steam in a pressure cooker. Open the lid too soon, and it blasts out, burning everything nearby. But if you manage the heat, you can cook something incredible without harming anyone. The problem isn't the cooker, it's whether you know how to control the flame. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be emotionless. It asks one question: is this worth sacrificing your peace of mind? Is it worth brooding for 3 days over a nasty comment online? Worth slamming the table in a meeting because someone disagreed with you? Worth sulking all day because of one look? Emotions aren't the enemy, they're messages, but you can choose to read them instead of being swept away. Picture a job interview. The candidate has a strong resume, solid experience, but comes in tense. The interviewer raises an eyebrow. Instead of reacting defensively, the candidate pauses, smiles, and calmly says, "Could you share what concerns you might have? I'd love to address them." The room falls silent. That wasn't just an answer. It was a signal. I'm not easily shaken. People like that command respect, not because they're the smartest, but because they're steady. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. No lofty theory, just truth. A truth most avoid, because if you really believed you controlled your mind, you'd have no excuse to lose it over someone else's behavior." I once heard a man in his 50s say, "It took me 15 years to learn not to argue back when my wife is upset. Not because I'm afraid, but because I know anger makes people say things they don't mean. I choose not to make things worse." He wasn't a philosopher, but he was a Stoic without reading a page. Pausing before reacting isn't a trick. It's a life skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Each morning before leaving home, remind yourself, "Today, I won't react too quickly." And every time you feel yourself about to snap, stand still and count to 5. No deep breathing, no rituals, just count like someone about to say something important, because what you say does matter. There's a line in Proverbs: "A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back." Wisdom isn't knowing everything, it's knowing when to hold your tongue. Try this for a week. You'll notice the change isn't in others, it's in you. You'll be calmer, harder to provoke, less vulnerable to other people's storms. And when that shift happens, people treat you differently. Not because you're cold, powerful, or famous, but because they sense you're not easily pierced. Staying grounded in the fire of conflict, that's an art. But staying grounded even when someone is throwing fuel on the fire, that's real strength. Number 6, build an unshakable mental core. In Stoicism, no one is born with an unshakable mind. It's not a gift, it's a skill, built slowly, consistently, often in silence so subtle no one notices. And because it's quiet, when it finally forms, it commands a unique respect. Not the fear that comes from aggression, but the awe that comes from someone who stays calm while others spiral. It sounds good in theory, But what does it actually look like? It looks like rush hour traffic that isn't moving, a deadline breathing down your neck, your phone ringing non-stop, and an email from your boss blaming you for a mistake that wasn't yours. And yet, you don't snap. You don't slam the desk or fire back with sarcasm. You sit, you breathe, you think, I've been through worse. I can handle this. That's Stoicism. Not a long lecture, just a single choice in a single moment. But it changes everything. Picture your mind like a house. When the storm comes, the fragile run outside to see what's happening. The Stoics shut the door, lock the windows, and secure everything from the inside. The world will always be chaotic. You just need one place that stays steady. That place is within you. It's where you decide how to respond. Part of the Stoic way is knowing what's not worth reacting to, and that's something you can train. Start with one moment a day when you usually overreact. Maybe it's someone cutting in line, a barrage of texts, or spilling coffee on an important document. In that instant, pause. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping anything? If not, why carry it? Each time you do that, you place another brick in the foundation of your inner core. It's in that quiet repetition, no fanfare, no grand declarations, that you start becoming someone others may not fully understand but can't ignore. People may dislike you, disagree with you, or even try to throw you off, but they won't be able to rattle you, and that's what makes them hesitate. Let me tell you a story, not for entertainment, but to remind you there's always a way forward, even if you have to crawl. This is about a man named Mark, who lived in suburban Cincinnati. He was a delivery driver, working 12-hour days, sending money home to a mother fighting cancer, while still paying off student loans from a degree he never finished. One icy winter night, his truck skidded at an intersection. Crash, delivery cancelled, job gone. A week later, his girlfriend left. She left a note. I can't live in this uncertainty. Mark sat alone in a cold apartment with thin blankets, a wheezing heater, and $72 in his bank account. He didn't post online. He didn't call friends. He opened his notes app and typed, "No one's coming. So I have to come for myself." 3 months later, he found day work at an auto shop. A year later, he was fixing the same kind of truck that had crashed. 7 years later, he published a book. Enduring didn't make me strong. Rebuilding did now bring it back to you. Try a tool that seems simple, but reshapes everything. Every night before bed, write down one moment where you lost control. Then write 3 different ways you could have responded if your inner core had been stronger. Do this daily. Over time, you'll see that real change doesn't come from feeling powerful. It comes from being harder to shake, one choice at a time. Remember, people won't be cautious of you because you argue well or speak loudly. They'll hesitate because you don't waver. When they act on impulse, you choose stillness. When they unravel, you hold your rhythm. Your steadiness reflects their chaos, and not everyone is ready to face their own reflection. If you've made it this far, understand this. Mental strength won't make the road shorter, but it will keep you standing when the road gets hard. Still, to walk the full path, you need something even stronger than strength: discipline. Motivation only shows up when it feels like it. Discipline is what you rely on when motivation disappears. And that's the final lesson waiting for you.
Number 7. Why discipline beats motivation. You wake up at 5:30 a.m.
The alarm cuts through the cold, silent room. Your body feels heavy. Your eyes refuse to open. In your head, the negotiation starts. Just 10 more minutes. 10 becomes 20. Eventually, you drag yourself out of bed at 7, frustrated. Not because you're late, but because once again you lost that quiet battle. This isn't weak willpower. It's the cost of an undisciplined mind. Most people believe one powerful reason or one inspiring quote can change their lives. But that's a beautiful illusion and a dangerous one. Motivation is like a visitor. It arrives unannounced, lingers for a while, and leaves without warning. Build your life on it. And it's like building a house on sand. You'll work when you feel like it, stall when you don't. Discipline is different. Discipline is invisible, but everyone notices when you have it. It shows in how you speak less and do more, in how you walk to the gym in the rain, in how you say no to greasy food because you're chasing something greater. People may say you're persistent, but deep down, you know it's not persistence. It's simply that there's no other option. You've turned the right action into a reflex. No negotiations, no feeling like it. Look at people who succeed consistently. They're not the ones bursting with energy. They're the ones who understand emotions are variables, but action must be constant. A writer writes daily, even with nothing to say. A pro athlete trains even when heartbroken. An entrepreneur reads every morning, even after crushing failure. These people live by systems, not sparks of inspiration. Got a goal? Lose weight? Write a book? Earn more? Good. But goals are just compasses. They point the way, but they don't move you. Systems are the wheels. Schedule 5 workouts a week. Clear the junk food from your kitchen. Write 500 words every morning, no matter how rough the draft. That's where discipline steps in, not as a strict boss, but as a gatekeeper. It won't let you stall, second guess, or say, maybe tomorrow. In today's world, real power doesn't come from being loud, flashy, or clever. It comes from quiet consistency. You don't talk about reading, you read. You don't brag about waking up early. You've done it for 2 years. No one sees you training, but your results make them stop and stare. That steadiness unsettles people because deep down they know nothing can pull you off course. Sounds boring? Maybe. Truth rarely glitters. But is it more exciting to live a life ruled by fleeting moods and reckless choices? If you're always waiting for inspiration, when will you ever write your first chapter? Now look at your day. Did you do what needed to be done? Or just what you felt like doing? Did you live like someone in control or like a servant to your emotions? And if you already know systems are the answer, what are you waiting for? It begins with one action, then another. No applause, no glamour. But if you repeat it long enough, you won't just build mental strength. You'll build a life others can't replicate. Because discipline can't be borrowed. It's forged daily, in unseen moments that shape everything. Live like that long enough, and you won't just be strong. You'll become a pillar of stability in a chaotic world. And nothing is more powerful than someone who always knows exactly what they need to do, no matter what their emotions say. We've just explored 7 principles to build a mind so steady, so unshakable, that it commands quiet respect. Not because you pretend to be strong, but because you live with consistency, calm, and control, even when life is chaos. Stoicism doesn't give you a magic spell. It gives you tools. It doesn't say, feel better. It says, do the right thing, no matter how you feel. And it's in those exact moments when you don't want to keep going, but you do anyway, that your mind grows, quietly, relentlessly, powerfully. You may not even notice the change, but one day someone will ask, "How do you stay so grounded?" And you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't luck. It was practice. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment. Share your story, what you're pushing through, what you're building. And if this journey speaks to you, subscribe. Because the path of inner growth, this is only the beginning.